Hi, I'm Debbie Harbeck, and I'm a certified life coach working with women in midlife and through the menopause transition. So each week, I'll be sharing the latest information, inspiration, and generate some momentum so you can move forward and feel more in control of your changing midlife body and your life. Let's go. Hi, and welcome back to the podcast. So today, I'm talking about pain. I've been thinking a lot about it lately, and part of it is physical pain for sure. For me, it's me and my hip, as you know, but it can also include things like body aches, which a lot of us are suffering from, stiffness, if you know what I mean, lower back pain, frozen shoulder, another really common thing some of us are going through in midlife. But I'm also talking about emotional pain, which can feel like being unsupported at home or at work, or maybe you're feeling disrespected or dismissed in certain situations, as again, we do tend to feel as women in midlife. And here's what I've been noticing, both in myself and in the women I coach, is that when we're in pain, we don't just want the pain to go away. We want to be seen, because pain, when it's not acknowledged, especially by those we love and care about, the people around us, it feels heavier, it feels lonely. And if you're in this lonely place, you might recognize this pattern. You're hurting. And instead of calmly saying, hey, this is hard for me, it comes out as maybe anger, frustration, irritation. Maybe we're snapping or yelling at others. Maybe we're shutting down and carrying like that quiet resentment that builds over time. And then what happens? You end up pushing away the very people you actually want support from. This, by the way, is a very human reaction. You're not wrong in reacting this way. That's why I know you're familiar with it, because we've both been on the giving and receiving ends of this kind of reaction. But when we do this, we're not actually trying to create distance or push others away. What we actually want is to get some support, some understanding. We want someone in our corner. So just think about this situation for a second. If someone is dismissive or not helping or just going about their day while you're struggling, there's this internal reaction deep inside you that says, can you not see this? Do you not get how hard this is for me? Or maybe something even like, do I even matter to you? And that, as you can probably feel, can quickly turn into these emotions of anger, frustration, and resentment. Not because you're an angry, bitter person, but because anger is often what shows up in us humans when something deeper inside of us isn't being met. And what's that deeper thing inside of us? Well, it usually has a voice like, I want to feel understood. I want to feel supported. I don't want to carry this alone. And what's important here to acknowledge is that wanting others to feel your pain isn't really about wanting them to suffer. It's about wanting them to get it, to recognize the weight that you are carrying. Because when somebody truly sees you, you feel held. Your nervous system relaxes, you soften, you don't feel alone anymore. But most of us, including me, were never really taught how to ask for support. We don't like to ask for support. We assume that others should just know. So instead, we default to reactions that actually push people away. We get sharp, we snap, we criticize, or in my case, we withdraw. And then we end up feeling even more disconnected, not only from others, but from ourselves. We don't recognize who we are anymore because this version of ourselves is a version we're not usually very proud of. So, what do we actually want when we're in pain? We want to be acknowledged, we want to be taken seriously, and we want to feel like someone else is in it with us and that we matter. And how do we get that? Well, the first step is our own awareness, catching ourselves in the moment where we feel this irritation rising inside of us and asking ourselves, what is it I actually need right now? It's not about what they need to do or how they're wrong, but what do I need? And sometimes the answer is super simple. It's, I need a little help right now, or I need you to listen, not to fix this, or I need you to understand that today is a harder day for me. And that kind of honesty, I know, feels so vulnerable, especially when you are not used to asking for support, especially if you're used to being the one who holds everything together, like So many of us are. But it's also what creates connection. And I'm not saying that the person will always respond perfectly, because they won't. But you give them a chance to show up differently when you're clear about what's really going on for you. And another piece here is that we need to acknowledge the pain ourselves, because sometimes we want to brush it away and pretend it doesn't matter by telling ourselves that it's no big deal, or I should be able to handle this, or other people have it worse. But those kind of thoughts don't make the pain go away. They just make you feel more alone in it. Part of this work is also learning to sit with yourself and say, this is hard right now. This matters. I'm not going to dismiss my own experience. Because when you can acknowledge your own pain, you don't need to fight as hard for others to see it. And that's where what you're communicating becomes less angry and less blaming and more about support and connection. So if you notice yourself feeling reactive, irritated, or even shut down because of the pain you're carrying, instead of judging that, get curious. There's probably something underneath it that just wants to be seen. And the more you can access that and express it without blame or shame or shouting, the less you'll find yourself pushing people away when you actually want them closer. Because at the end of the day, I know we don't really want others to feel our pain. What we want is just not to feel so alone in it. And that's kind of a human need. If this episode has resonated with you, just take a moment today and ask yourself, what would feeling supported actually look like for me right now? And see what comes up for you. For me, I know that feeling supported in this moment is about somebody just giving me space, somebody just giving me time, somebody giving me a hug. Those are the kind of things right now that feel good to me. But see what comes up for you. In the meantime, have a great week. I'm right here with you. Keep moving forward, and bye for now.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Midlife Momentum Podcast. If you want to learn more about working with me, come visit me at DebbieHarbeckCoaching.com. That's Debbie, I-E, Harbeck with a C, coaching.com. See you next week.